9 o'clock.
Factual, insightful, and credible. It's Nationwide News Now at 9.
Good morning, I'm Andrew Cannon. Coming up in the news at 9 for this morning, Saturday, January 18, 2025. Ministry of Education investigating allegations that a teacher's retroactive salary has not been paid. Government working on a policy to tackle human trafficking in Jamaica, says National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang. Haitians who entered the country illegally on January 10 granted bail when they appeared in court. In news from the region, U.S. Federal Aviation Authority FAA probes reports of SpaceX rocket debris landing in Turks and Caicos. On the international scene, Israel preparing for first hostage releases as Gazans speak of hope of return home. And in sport, Zandra Roy and Ryan Liu were challenged on day one of the 10th Latin American Amateur Golf Championship at the Pilar Golf Club in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The details after this. The Ministry of Education says it has launched an investigation into an allegation that a teacher's retroactive salary has not been paid despite its directive to that end. The matter came to public attention in an article published by the Jamaica Observer on Tuesday. Kimon Thompson has that story.
The Jamaica Observer report outlined the frustrations of a female teacher at an all-girls school in St. Andrew. She wasn't identified by name. The woman complained that she was only paid half her salary for 2021 and 2022 on the basis that the university where she studied had withheld her degree for outstanding scholarship funds owed by the Ministry of Education. It meant she was not regarded as a trained teacher. The ministry has since paid the outstanding sums and the degree has been released. That was in February 2022. In April that same year, the ministry formally advised the school that the teacher should be classified as a trained teacher earning full salary. However, she says the school has still not paid the retroactive sums. In a statement on Friday, the ministry confirmed that the school has completed its internal processes to facilitate repayment. Permanent Secretary Dr. Casson Troop said the ministry will monitor the situation to ensure the matter is resolved as swiftly as possible. She explained that the ministry began to onboard Bursa-paid schools to the government's MyHR Plus system in 2024. This, she says, is expected to facilitate the timely payment of the approximately 40,000 staff across schools and the ministry. The ministry says roughly 28,000 teachers are currently on the MyHR Plus system. Dr. Troop says the full implementation of the system will not only streamline payment processes going forward, but will resolve issues such as the one under investigation. On the matter of the delayed scholarship payment, Dr. Troop says the ministry has a long-standing arrangement with public higher education institutions. Under the arrangement, students benefiting from scholarships, grants, or JAMVAT are not penalized for issues once they maintain their GPA and other requirements of the scholarship. Kimon Thompson for Nationwide News.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says the government is currently working on a policy to tackle the issue of human trafficking in Jamaica.
Or in the process of developing a trafficking in persons policy. The policy will supplement the existing Trafficking in Persons Prevention, Suppression and Punishment Amendment Act of 2021 and will provide a more comprehensive plan for trafficking in persons activities. Implementation of the Trafficking in Persons policy reaffirms the government's commitment to reinforcing strategies that in the fight against human trafficking, the policy placed at the forefront an national plan of action that identifies human trafficking as a risk to almost vulnerable people. And indeed, we're looking at children and women in particular. There's some trafficking for labor among young boys, but usually the individuals are from a particular socioeconomic demographic area.
Dr. Chang was speaking at the office of the National Rapporteur on Trafficking in Persons launch of Jamaica's digital human trafficking course. The minister says, based on reports, global trafficking of persons is among the most profitable crimes worldwide, generating more than $230 billion. He says every Jamaican should be able to identify incidents of human trafficking so they can be reported to the authorities. Dr. Chang noted that sensitization sessions should be conducted across all local sectors on the digital trafficking course.
The primary trafficker is always someone who knows they want to be trafficked and deceive them one way or the other. We must therefore sensitize and train across all sectors, utilizing all forms of terribly disturbing trends. The digital anti-human trafficking course will attract the attention of our youngsters. They're innately digital. It's obviously a course for the digital generation, but we can use it, access it, and learn to be more sensitive and aware of the risks faced in challenging.
Dr. Horace Chang, National Security Minister. A 48-hour curfew has been imposed in sections of Barbican Road in St. Andrew. The curfew began at 6 p.m. on Friday and will remain in effect until 6 p.m. on Sunday, January 19. It encompasses Old Church Avenue, Grants Pen and Garth Roads, Essex Avenue and Dulwich Drive. During the hours of the curfew, persons within its boundaries are required to remain indoors unless otherwise authorized by the person in charge of enforcing the curfew. A 48-hour curfew that was imposed in sections of the St. Mary Police Division has been extended. The curfew will continue from 6 p.m. on Friday, January 17 until 6 p.m. on Sunday, January 19. The areas of the curfew are sections of Enfield in Anoto Bay and Albion Mountain and Free Hill in Port Maria. During the hours of the curfew, all persons within its boundaries are required to remain within their premises unless otherwise authorized by the ground commander. 2 Haitians who illegally entered the country on January 10 were granted bail when they appeared in the St. Thomas Parish Court on Thursday. The 2 women were granted bail in the sum of $300,000 with reporting conditions. An 8-year-old Haitian boy who was found with the women remains in state care. Reports are that about 5:30 p.m. the police conducted a raid at a house in Hector's River and the Haitians were discovered. A Jamaican man who was charged with harboring the Haitians was also granted bail. They were all represented by attorney O'Dane Marston. Mr. Marston submitted to the court that the Haitians are from a very violent part of the country's capital, Port-au-Prince. He argued that by virtue of them making applications for asylum, they are not to be viewed as flight risks. The bail application was granted and the matter is set for mention on the 17th of April. And now to news from the region. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration and officials from the Turks and Caicos Islands have launched probes into SpaceX's explosive Starship rocket test that sent debris streaking over the northern Caribbean and forced airlines to divert dozens of flights. There are no reports of public injury. The Federal Aviation Authority is working with SpaceX and appropriate authorities to confirm reports of public property damage on Turks and Caicos, said the FAA, which oversees private rocket launch activity. An upgraded version of SpaceX's Starship exploded in space over the Bahamas roughly 8 minutes into the company's 7th flight test from Texas on Thursday. It sent fields of blazing debris for miles across the sky over the Turks and Caicos, a British overseas territory. Residents in the South and North Caicos Islands described to Reuters intense rumbling that shook the ground and said they received messages from friends in North Caicos who found charred pieces of what they believed to be Starship debris. On the international scene, the Israeli military says it is preparing to receive hostages after their release from Hamas captivity ahead of the ceasefire taking effect. The truce will begin at 8:30 local time on Sunday after Israel's government voted to approve it. 33 hostages are due to be freed in the first 6 weeks in exchange for Palestinian prisoners being released from Israeli prisons. As the countdown to the ceasefire begins, displaced Palestinians living in temporary camps say they hope this means they can then return home. Hamas attacked Israel on the 7th of October 2023, killing 1,200 people and taking 251 back to Gaza as hostages. The attack triggered a massive Israeli offensive on Gaza, during which more than 46,800 Palestinians have been killed, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. And now to sport. Zondre Roy and Ryan Liu were challenged on day 1 of the 10th Latin American Amateur Golf Championship at the Pilar Golf Club in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The 4-day championship will run until Sunday at the same venue. Roy started out well, posing 3 under par after 7 holes, but was pegged back at the halfway mark after making 2 bogeys to end on 1 under par at the stage. The other half of the round was the opposite, as he scored 4 over par to eventually close the round on 3 over par 75. That score saw him tied with 10 others at the 61st position at the end of the first day of the championship. Lou, in his first outing at the championship, had it rough from the start. He posted 6 over par for his first half and 8 over par for the second half, for a total of 14 over par, 86 on the day. He is hoping for better scores on the second day of the championship. Jamaica's best placement at the championship to date is 24th by Ian Facey back in 2015. This year's championship boasts 170 golfers from 28 countries. The list includes some familiar competitors such as Barbados, Bermuda, Puerto Rico, the Cayman Islands, and Trinidad and Tobago. And now for a recap of the top stories making the news at this hour. Ministry of Education investigating allegations that a teacher's retroactive salary has not been paid. Government working on a policy to tackle human trafficking in Jamaica, says National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang. Haitians who entered the country illegally on January 10 granted bail when they appeared in court. Remember, you can find the news on our website at nationwidejm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News is next at midday.
You've just heard Nationwide News Now at 9.
For over 30 years, Chris and Charles has been financing your goals, dreams, creating your great moments. Celebrate the occasion with us. Borrow $1 million, pay less than $25,000 monthly, and get 30% off your processing fees. No guarantor needed. Call 876-920-4189 or WhatsApp 876-838-9028. Conditions apply. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
Sunday, February 16, 2025 will be pure energy and excitement as thousands hit the streets, running, walking and wheeling with a purpose. The Sagicor Sigma Run isn't just a road race, it's a celebration of people coming together to make a difference. Don't miss the Caribbean's biggest running event, Sagicor Sigma Run 2025. Visit SagicorSigmaRun.com and register now. Run for the fun, donate for the cause. Sponsored by Walden, Pan Jam, National Baking Company, Reggae Marathon, Catherine Speak, Malay Media and Whistling Frog.
Listen, nation. If me asleep,
a nationwide.
If me a walk,
a nationwide.
If me a drive,
a nationwide.
Nah, go over there. Why? Gosh, nah, listen nationwide.
A nationwide, me say.
Some cry, some smile, some fight every day. We rise.